Hey, namaste, this is Sacredowl with another Real Talk by Sacredowl. I want to talk to you about life versus living. What does that mean? Well, when we go out there and you buy a watch, and let's say you buy a Rolex, you have it on, it's like, wow, that's nice. Or that Omega watch, which is nice too. Or you buy a Timex. Or you buy a $1.99 store watch. The one thing that's consistent about all those watches is that they all tell the exact same time, no matter which watch it is. Because the purpose of the watch is to have a timekeeper on you, to be able to tell what time it is. So the Rolex, yeah, is bad, nice, really good, but the $1.99 store watch also serves the same purpose. It gives you the time. When you go out there and you drive on the road, the same road, you could be driving either a Yugo or a Mercedes. It's still the same road. It still gets you to where you have to go. Things are here designed for purpose, not for happiness. They're designed for purpose. You have a house, it's a beautiful house, you have the room, that's great. That's a purpose. That's not a goal or happiness. So what I'm asking you to look at is, I'm not saying give up all your things and not live your happy life. If you can afford it and you can do that, that's fine. But if you can afford it based on this one condition, that it doesn't decrease your standard of life. So what does that mean? Your standard of life is how happy I am. Who are the people in my life? Human relationships, love, my bonding with things. Even with your animals, you're bonding, you're that. But if you're never home because you're trying to increase your standard of living, look at what you're giving up in that process. I know for a fact when I buy certain sneakers, that might be 200 bucks and I buy other sneakers that's 25 bucks. I noticed that the $200 sneakers wear out quicker than 25 bucks sneakers. Why? Because I'm paying for a name and I'm not paying for the quality of a sneaker. What I mean by that is, what's your quality of life? What is your standard of living? Are they balanced? Is one higher than the other? Is this standard of life, a living here, is consuming your standard of life? Then you have to ask yourself, what do I need to do to create a balance between those things? What I need to do to keep my happiness? The most valuable commodity every human being has is called time. And if you're spending a lot of time trying to increase your standard of living and you're losing your standard of life in the process, what are you truly compromising? Now, I'm saying if you have the money to do it and you want to buy it, go ahead, knock yourself out. Nobody's arguing with that. It's okay. But you don't buy it to think, buying it in the illusion that it's going to increase your standard of life. It's only increasing your standard of living. Now, if you're buying everything to increase your standard of living, but your standard of life is strong and steady, hey, knock yourself out. You have a right to that. Nobody's saying you can't do that. But what I'm asking you is take a look at what it is costing you. What sacrifices is being made to you. What does it mean to you to have this standard of living, and in the meantime, you're killing your standard of life? There are days that go by with people that are working so hard for the standing of living that they're working 80, 60, 80 hours a week, standard living, standard living, standard living. And what's happening to their standard of life? They're losing it. It's drying up. Those are the people, when you get old or when you get to a point, you're going to turn around and look, and there's not going to be anybody there to want to be with you because they don't know you anymore. Because why? You gave up the most important commodity that you had for your standard of living, your time. Your standard of life is so valuable. It is so strong. Remember something. A person, the poorest person is the person that only has money. The richest people are the ones that have human relationships, human interaction. Even with your pets, you have things and people that love you. That's the standard of life. If you're looking around and you realize that when you drop a tear, there's nobody there to help you wipe it, you're very poor and you just live for your standard of living. But if you drop a tear and there's 10 people, 2 people, 3 people, 1 person who wants sincerely is concerned for you, you have a good standard of life. Start to appreciate what you've created and the relationships you have out there. This is Sacredowl, hoping to have a great standard of life. Peace.